In working with hundreds of people in the last decade plus, there are a few problems that clients have, including myself, that kind of stand the test of time. What I mean is the majority of people I work with have a lot of the same stuff going on. And one of the biggest ones, and again, I'm going to talk about this from the perspective of it being my own problem as well, is overeating on the weekend. And I'm not talking about like, ooh, it's the weekend, a little indulgence here. Maybe I'll go out to eat on Saturday night, have a nice little dinner. Now, I'm talking about like really going hog wild on the weekend because it's the weekend. And that usually also included a lot of drinking as well. And what went, in conjunction with that was being really tight during the weekday. And then when the weekend comes, it's like a total unleashing of all the, wishes that you had during the week to be able to eat this, eat that, drink, whatever. Okay, so the point of my video today is how I stopped doing that. You might ask yourself, well, dude, why would you do that? You're working well during the week and then you have a good time on the weekend. Well, to be totally honest with you, when the weekend came, it was more like a compulsion. It was unhealthy. Basically, the same way that a person might binge drink, it was binge eating like throughout the course of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I did this to myself because I thought, look, why don't I make a deal where I kick ass Monday through Thursday and then Friday through Sunday, I can go crazy because I deserve it and it's not going to affect or offset the hard work I put in during the weekdays. And I consider the weekend Friday through Sunday because let's face it, like that is the weekend, Friday through Sunday, maybe Friday night to be more specific through Sunday. But anyway, yeah, I'm talking about like serious overeating, like wake up the next day, particularly like on Monday, just feeling like you hate yourself, all right? Talking about multiple binge sessions where I'm like eating things that I don't even really want. It's almost like, well, I got to get it all in because Monday's around the corner and then I got to really stop and I got to go completely strict again. That's the kind of overeating I'm talking about on the weekends, not just a little enjoyment. So a combination of like boozing it up, right? Basically like binge drinking as well as binge eating, just like a horrible combination. Well, that's why I wanted to stop because I also had a goal. What happened was I stopped getting away with it. I couldn't, as much as I wanted to, like I would work really hard, like work out really hard, eat really well. And I used to be able to get away with doing that and then going, ape shit on the weekend. That stopped being a thing. First, I got away with it. Then I was only able to maintain my results. Then I actually started putting on weight. It's a factor of basically your body adapting because the body doesn't like to gain or lose weight. It likes to stay where it's at to be comfortable, to function at its best. So the body is going to basically adapt to the bullshit that you do anyway. So I got to a point where I was like, look, I'm actually gaining weight because, my metabolism's slowing down as I get older. Plus my body's obviously adapting. It's more or less the same thing. So I said, I've got to break this habit because I want to reach a certain body composition goal. And let's be honest, the goal is to look better naked. And I really didn't like the direction of of where my body was going physically. So that's why I wanted to stop. Okay, how did I stop? And this is also what I coach my clients to do. So this is kind of like inside information. And this is what I help my clients with. And it's great advice because I use it for myself. I've seen it work with dozens, if not hundreds of clients over the years. The first thing I did was I decided, hey, you know what? Instead of only eating the things that I really want on the weekends, I'm going to eat those things during the weekday. And that might sound silly, but instead of this thing being a total compulsion during the weekend where I would just like overeat, right? If I had ice cream, I didn't have a little, I had the whole pint, right? I didn't only have the whole pint on Friday. I had Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're talking 3 pints within 72 hours. That's way overboard. Anyway, so I decided, hey, if I want these things so badly and like they actually add some kind of enjoyment in my life, why am I gonna do it, 4 days, 4 days off, 3 days off? It's just too strict because obviously I wanna eat those things. So what am I gonna do? If I have a hankering for a little bit of Ben and Jerry's, between Monday and Thursday, I'm going to have it. Am I going to have the whole pint? No. Why? Because it won't take that much willpower because I'm already used to being like really strict during the week. So if I say to myself, you know what? I'm going to have a little bit of ice cream. I know I'm not going to go crazy because it's not the weekend. And I'm already used to being pretty strict, but I can relax a little bit and have a tiny amount of dessert. And you know what started to happen with that is once it got to the weekend, this like pressure of needing to get in all I could possibly eat within Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, it kind of dissolved. Well, I had a little bit of Ben & Jerry's actually last night, so I'm not like dying to get it tonight. So that was a huge, really impactful thing that I decided. Sometimes I hear from my clients, they say to me, I'm really kind of all or nothing. I'm either doing things really strict or really not. And that is really precarious. You don't want to live on the edge of either extreme. And when you're on the one extreme end of being extremely strict during the week, and then on the other extreme of being, out of control overeating on the weekend, you're living two completely different lifestyles with too much of a quick turnover. I'm really strict, and then all of a sudden, I'm really relaxed. It can't work like that. And I promise you, it doesn't unless you're doing like some kind of carb cycling for a certain, reason or whatever. That's neither here nor there right now. But basically, I stopped working at the end of both extremes. And that's so much healthier. Or rather, it's so much healthier to have a little bit of this here and there throughout the week. And then the weekend comes and it kind of feels like a weekday. And that's a positive thing relative to food intake, okay? The second thing I did is I just asked, kind of one simple question. Like, why? Why am I doing this on the weekend? Why am I eating, honestly, until I feel like it's going to come back up? Like, that's not okay. There's something going on there. And I find that with most behaviors that you start to notice are unhealthy, there's some kind of more deep-rooted emotional issue that's probably attached to it. So I really did some soul searching around why. I won't get into that because that's a whole other can of worms as far as why. And then I decided, like, look, the more awareness I have around, okay, why am I doing this until I'm going to throw up, the more I was able to gain my control around it. And here's what happened. Every time I had some kind of food in front of me, I was like, yeah, it's the weekend, let's go hard. I would say, is this really helping me towards my goal or not? And basically that kind of put me in the driver's seat. Instead of going and eating something based on a compulsion where I am not in control of the decision making, I'm just doing this because it feels good and it's kind of wrapping me up in this kind of cocoon of like feeling warm and, I'm eating as much as I can. Like, I was able to escape that by just kind of facing myself and saying, this actually, what I'm about to do right now, I'm going to feel, not only did I realize, obviously, no, this is not helping me in my goal, but I also was able to get ahead of the fact of, hey, I already know this is going to make me feel like shit within minutes of doing it. So I was able to have the foresight to say, you know what, there's an easy way to avoid not feeling like shit in a couple minutes. And that is to not go completely batshit crazy and just binge my face off. So that, and of course, that doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes you override that feeling and you're like, fuck it, I'm going to eat it all anyway. But over time, with that awareness, something starts to click. And you say, I don't need to eat the whole goddamn pint. All right. The third thing I did was I just did the math. Relative to wanting to do something, like, for example, lose 10 pounds, it doesn't matter what that number is, or if I want my clothes to stop feeling too snug or what have you, I just did the math. And like on average, if you include Friday, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's about 10 weekend days. There's about 10 Friday, Saturday, Sundays in an average month. Okay. So if you take 10 days out of a month, compared to all the other days, and you're overeating and overindulging and consuming way too many calories, you're drinking those calories, staying up super late, whatever, all these things that end up with weight gain overall, that's like 30% of the days in the month. And I'm thinking to myself, Anybody who ever did anything worthwhile that was super difficult, did they only give a 70% effort and have that be a success? I think the answer is definitely no. So I thought to myself, what am I doing? What's the point in giving only a 70% effort? The real thing that comes out of that is you just get frustrated. Because I'll tell you what, a 70% effort is a decent amount of effort, but it's not enough to get a result. So it's like, what the hell am I actually working really hard for, like Monday through Thursday, and it not getting me anything? I might as well just embrace a shitty lifestyle. And at least I'm not wasting my time in the gym. I'm not wasting my time being mindful with what I'm eating during the week if I'm going to literally throw it all away during the weekend. So those three things are just kind of the tip of the iceberg and how you can start to kind of wrap your mind around, you know what? There's a reason I'm not getting a result, and it probably has something to do with the days Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, okay? And there's a whole lot more strategies. For example, if taking on all of this is too quick, too much at once, for example, instead of, going crazy Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you go crazy just on Saturday and Sunday. There's a lot of ways to skin this particular cat, but what I'm talking about here are some of, kind of the psychological things that you've got to start in order to actually take action. Because here's where people kind of mess things up. When you realize that weekend overeating is screwing things up, and you just say, all right, I know what I got to do. I know what I got to do. And clients say that all the time. I know what I got to do, but I just, I don't do it. Well, there's a big reason for that. And it starts with thinking about your why, right? So these are kind of like, these are things inside your head that you've got to tackle before you say, all right, I'm just going to stop overeating on the weekend. It doesn't work like that, okay? Because there's so many things in life we know are unhealthy, but we do them anyway, okay? And there's no way you're going to make a change without having to kind of look in the mirror first. So with all that said, those are the three big things that I help my clients with when they have an overeating on the weekend problem. A lot of people do. I did. And like I said, you want to be able to eat what you want throughout the whole week rather than just Friday through Sunday. Keep it in moderation instead of perfect strictness followed by this total opposite idea of going crazy on the weekend. It doesn't work. Trust me. Number two, I asked one simple question. Why? Why do I do this? What is good about doing the overeating? Honestly, I tried to ask myself, what's good about it? What do I get out of it, right? What's bad about it? Why do I want to change it? Should I change it? Three, I did some math. I'm putting in all this effort, not getting a return. In fact, I'm getting worse results, diminishing returns, okay? Consider those three things. Now, what I do for a living is I help people with this stuff. It's not just exercise. And if you talk to me and you're my client, it's one of the first things I tell you is, dude, exercise is like the last thing you need to worry about. It's stuff like this, what goes on in the mind, being able to figure out what do I need to do based upon me as an individual. It's not just exercise. I can promise you that. I help people remotely. Which means I'm not a personal trainer who counts your reps in the gym and then, sees you next week. I coach people, I guide people, whatever you want to call it. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that and how, the exercises and workouts that you do should be geared towards you, that's how you get a better result as well. And nutrition like this, instead of just, here, count your calories, you might be really interested in how I help people. So in that case, just get in touch with me. Wherever you're seeing this posted, you can just hit me up at any time. You can direct message me, whatever the case is. Anyway, I hope this helps you. And if you have any comments, questions, whatever, comment wherever. Like I said, hit me up. I'm curious. I want to know what you have to say. All right, implement some of this stuff, see how it goes, and let me know. All right, bye.